So thank you everyone for coming down on a Saturday. So basically, I'm an SEO specialist from CMO Media Lab. I'm the co-founder. So basically today we will be sharing on what you may not know, especially in SEO. So in SEO, it's a bit technical in the sense, if many of you know, if someone has actually talked to you about SEO, you'll probably go into the zone of Twilight. Yeah, Twilight Zone basically, right? It will confuse you. You probably have no idea what you're hearing and all that. So basically, for now, for those who are actually trying to learn about SEO or trying to invest in SEO itself, I'm here to actually educate you on what are the key things that you should ask and what should you be looking for in order to know that SEO campaign will likely be a success. So here I am trying to educate you guys on removing the guesswork in SEO. So basically, what is SEO? So SEO is actually search engine optimization. So the engine that we use now is actually Google, but there's actually Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo. But for primarily 97% of users uses Google. That's why we primarily focus on just Google for now. Okay, so it's basically the practice of increasing the quality and the quantity of website traffic, and this is organic traffic. Yeah, so you're not paying anything. You're not investing in any ads, such as Google ads or Facebook that leads to your website. No, nothing. So it's organic. So you don't need to pay for it. So the question is, so how do I do it? How do I appear in front of people when I need to? Okay, so SEO is a bit more intricate because it's a combination of a lot of consumer behavior studies and all of that. So when people enter into the search, the bar that you enter, so there's always an intent towards it. So if there's no intent, you won't be typing into the bar. So basically, when you are searching something, you want an answer. So we are just here to connect the answer to the most, your question to the most relevant answer. So that's what SEO is. So the Google algorithm has been going through a lot of changes over the years. The AI has been improving. The natural language processing has been improving. So it's giving people the relevant answer that they are looking for. They are also actually changing time and time again and again to make sure that the answer you get with the millions and millions of search results, and that is the most relevant that you can get. So basically, just know that SEO is not a wizardry or sorcery. There is actually technical aspects that you can follow. So I'll share with you guys on some of the things that you can do for yourself. So basically, like I said, SEO is something in the organic traffic. So there's two kinds of traffic that we actually have in marketing itself. So organic and paid. So organic are traffic that comes from links, from SERPs, search engine results page. Comes from your Google, can come from Yahoo and all that. So as long as you don't need to pay when you appear, that's organic. So paid traffic, such examples, if you guys hear about search engine marketing, Google ads. So those kind of paid traffic, social media marketing, Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing, those are paid traffic. So as long as you pay a certain budget, you'll be attributed to actually gaining a larger audience in that sense. So there's actually a difference in both. So what's the difference between organic and paid? So what's the good thing about organic? It's cost effective because in the long run, if you guys can get the same amount of viewership, you guys are appearing in front of people, like I said, with higher intent when they key in the search itself. You are not paying for every single person that is coming into your website as compared to paid traffic, where the moment you actually stop paying, it drops. So my advice to everyone is actually to have a fair share and a balance of both organic and paid traffic itself. So organic traffic caters to those in trying to search it online, but there are those who really want paid. So you have to cater for both in the sense that when you come across certain ads, some people are very, very, very against ads. They know like, oh, this product may not be good, this website may not be good because they just are paying to appear. And organic, actually, if you understand SEO at a certain level, it shows a certain level of authority. So it's not easy to get ranked, especially if you're in a space which is very, very competitive. So the more assets that you have online, the more assets that you have across the subjects that you can cover, where you have funnel that from the top of the funnel, from certain questions to consideration questions to becoming a customer itself. So how are you actually dictating the question and what are you saying to help people understand that you are actually the preferred choice? So next one. So SEO impacts over time. So basically, if you guys have heard SEO, it's not an overnight sensation. It will take time in order for results to actually come and results to actually show. The reason being is we are playing with Google algorithm. The AI algorithm, the bots, the spiders that they actually let crawl on your web pages and websites takes time. So especially if you're a newer site, we have something called a Google sandbox. So you are not allowed to actually, no, not allowed. So Google don't actually allow you to rank fast if you're very new, your domain is very new, your website is very new. Because if everybody is creating websites again and again and again, over and over again, the whole internet will be flooded with content. So it takes time in order for Google to see that you're trustworthy, to see that they can understand that you are someone of authority. So it takes time for them to scroll your website, to scan, to see if they are the things that you say are relevant to the consumers itself. Yeah, so generally for the first 3 to 4 months, we don't really see anything. Some movements, yes, but the initial ranking is not that accurate. So SEO accompanied by social signals like Facebook, when they have ads to the website, to the links, to the pages, it helps. So as is a bot, right? So they have a certain set of requirements inside the back end of Google where they know that in order for them to know that this is authority site, a website that they can trust, they will just be looking at the signals and the so-called checklist that they have. Okay? So what do we need both? Like I said, if you were to actually imagine it in a graph, right? Organic traffic will just go up and plateau. As compared to paid traffic, you will keep increasing your organic reach or your paid reach, consumer viewership, as long as you pay. But the moment something happens, you got banned or your website got banned or something happens to cash flow, especially for businesses, it drops. So what happens to your lead generation then? How are you going to get business? So it's pivotal for business to have contingency plan. So having both organic and paid traffic will secure you knowing that even if you're not putting in money for paid traffic, you'll still be getting leads. Right? Okay, so for the process of SEO, it's actually pretty simple. The 3 big overarching is actually technical SEO, on-page and off-page SEO. Anyone who does SEO will actually understand that this is a 3 main element. But the minor things that goes inside is where it becomes very, very, very technical. Okay, so basically, I'm not going to go so much on the definition and all of that. I will show you the key points, like I said. So when you are approaching an SEO person, an agency, a freelancer, expert, at least you know something that you know that they can be accountable to. Okay, so basically, technical SEO is very important because your website, like I said, is static, but it's on Google. So how does Google read your website? They send their bots to crawl. So crawl like indexing. So indexing meaning you're found on Google or not. Yeah. So it helps in visibility. So if a website, you can go to Google Search Console and see if your website is actually indexed. If you are to wait to do it manually, it will roughly take around 4 to 5, 6 months, rather than you actually go in and force it to be indexed. So basically, the technical aspects is, like I said, from the structure to the back end, from covering for active with sitemaps, meta, JavaScript, all the links, everything. So all the technical aspects. And this is important. Why? Because for technical SEO itself, that is the backbone, the foundation of all your SEO work. If the SEO is not, if the back end of the SEO is not done properly, the backbone, like you see in buildings, if the foundation is not strong, everything else will fail. So if you cannot crawl properly, if Google cannot crawl your website properly, and you are trying to do link building and try to get found, you're not going to. So we have to actually see the back end of the website itself. Every single page that is actually connected to your website, what is actually linking to it? Is it okay? Is it a broken page? Is it a page which has duplicated content? You sometimes, for most business people, they don't actually understand the back end is because they know that they just follow whatever the consultant says. But you actually need to know this because the back end of the SEO is actually important. Without this, your whole campaign will fail. So imagine if you spend money on link building to help you rank and all of that, but the page itself is actually redirecting to another page. So you don't realize that it's actually you're ranking to another page as opposed to the page that you want to rank. So that's why technical SEO, we need to see the key elements, which I will show you next. The key things, the key points that you need to know. What are the agency is doing so that you know that it's actually verified and validated with common sense. So for us, we have something called a technical warm-up itself. So we have even Google Analytics Audit. GSC stands for Google Search Console. So it's the combination is called Analytics Audit. And something that's proprietary to us, we call it the website quality audit itself. We show you an example. So this is how it actually shows. So you can see here numbers everywhere, numbers, the URLs, everything. So this is actually to show you an example of how we use softwares in order to actually get the result itself. So it's not guessing, there's no point in guessing work. So if technical SEO is something that you can just, see the website and see whatever is written from your own sitemap, then it's not accurate. Sometimes you have JavaScript pages that you don't know that actually exist. So we actually have URL actions that actually dictate in terms of the URL, what should we do next. So when we scrape using Screaming Frog, a software called Screaming Frog, we actually can see the entire back end of the website itself. So in terms of technical, the question to ask is, so how are you getting, knowing what to change? So how are you verifying that I need to change this? So we have the next section called the GSC and GA. So Google Search Console, Google Analytics. So we see in terms of impression, how many people are going to the website, how many people are seeing, how long are they spending on the website. So is there a high bounce rate? So is it redirecting? So as you see the bottom photo, right, you can see status codes. So 200 means it's live, 404 means it's broken, 301 means redirect. So we need to know, in order for the different kind of pages, we have homepage, service pages, site info pages, all of these function differently. Because Google itself has penalties. So if you have thin content, you have a penalty. Less than 300 words, you have penalty. And you're thinking, what about my contact us page? It's just a form. More for us, it's just a form. So if I'm not going to do anything to the page, the thing in SEO is we do a blog crawl. So Google don't send their bots to crawl that page, so they don't penalize you unnecessarily. So the main gist of technical SEO, right, is to know what exactly you need to change and why. The last thing you want is actually, we need to change this because I feel that we need to change. So everything needs to be reinforced with data. At this point in age, in the digitalization age, everything has a way of tracking all the metrics that we have to be more accurate, to remove all the bias that we have, and we look at just data. So what does the data say? So if the data shows this is why we actually do a certain action. So there's no guesswork in terms of SEO itself, right? So next one, analytics audit. So we see here, we do for Advisor Alliance also. So just one of the clients that we have. So basically in terms of analytics, so we want to know that your clicks are actually being tracked. So there's certain things called, for marketers, they know a Google Tag Manager. So when they click, it's actually tracked that it's actually clicked. So when they go to the next page, it's actually being tracked. So if the analytics is not set up properly, it's very hard for a campaign to get tracked on what are the deliverables that is actually, what are the KPIs that are actually being set with the client itself. The last thing we want is actually to say that, everything works, but there's no paper or there's no trail or any form of evidence to actually say that, this is actually being done. This is the result. This is how many clicks you're getting. This is what is happening on that page. So analytics form a very important foundation in terms of SEO, right? So the next step we have is on our own, we call it the foundational page job. So you realize that it's all very exercise driven. So basically we cover target pages, keyword research, and OnPage. So basically, if you ever get page 2 or trying to learn about SEO itself, OnPage SEO is actually something which is very common. So the kind of checklist that Google's want. So you just imagine this, for Google, right, they are, inside their bots, they have like a minor checklist. It's a figurative checklist. So if you have your URL with your keyword itself, it's found inside, or they give you plus how many points. Their title tag itself, it's optimized with the keywords, secondary keywords, and all of that. They have another points. So if you're missing, they deduct points. So comparative with the people on, which is usually ranking in the first page itself. Most of them, actually all of them are usually, they already optimized the OnPage to a certain level. That Google likes them, Google trusts them. So if you are not focusing on your OnPage as compared to someone who's actually have focused on your OnPage, have optimized for the OnPage, you are at a disadvantage because Google doesn't like that. And all of us are trying to figuratively make Google like our website. Show to Google that they can trust our website, show to them that we can actually be trusted, right? Yeah. So basically in one of the very important segment for SEO is actually doing the keyword research. It may sound very cliche, or keyword research, but the question is how? How do we understand that's the keyword? How do we verify that's the keyword that we should be ranking? So in terms of the volume itself, in terms of the supporting words. So the question is data driven, right? So how do we know? So for us, we have an audit called a keyword research audit itself, and we also benchmark to your position 1, 2, and 3. So like I said, they are there for a reason. Google has ranked them into page 1 in high rankings, the first 3 of the SERPs. They're something that they have done that Google likes. So we need to know, we need to understand in terms of the content type that they are doing. So RD means referring domain, so it's the links that you do, the authority of that page. So content type is also important. Are they doing a guide? Are they doing a blog post? Is it a service page? So imagine, logically speaking, if everyone is doing service pages, and that's what when you go to page 1, that's all the pages, all service pages. Are you going to do something different? So we know that in terms of understanding the intent of Google ranking the results, they want a service page. Hence, we need to know that it is also a service page. There are data points in terms of how Google is ranking certain results. So we need to see if everybody is doing videos, are we going to do a post? We are not going to rank because Google understands that the relevance is actually a video itself. So the audit itself shows us in paper form to know exactly what the people in page 1, the high rankings, are doing. We benchmark off them. So we are not just guessing like, we just follow this one. Okay, maybe that one. No. So we verify the keyword. So what are the words that they are ranking? There is always a common denominator amongst them. So we need to know. There's always data. There's no guessing in SEO. So I'm not going to cover much on the OnPage definition itself because it's pretty standard itself. So OnPage, as it implies, right, it's just the optimization of the page itself. So remember, there's a distinction between a website and a web page. A website is your entire website containing all the pages. A web page is a singular page itself. Google rank pages, not websites. There's a misconception of a lot of people. They rank the exact page. They see the matrix of that page, the relevance of that page, the content of that page. It's not, they don't see the entire website as a whole. They go down. Even though the links behind it needs to be proper in terms of the structure, URL, so your sitemap is important. So it's important to know that on-page literally just means the page level optimization itself, right? So for this, just remember, it's like I said, it's a checklist. Like the crawlers, they said there's a checklist inside the bot, sorry. Yeah, so if you have all the checklists that they want, they just add points. If you don't, they just minus. Then how they actually rank you is by the points in their figurative point system itself, right? So when it comes to on-page SEO, there's title text, there's URL, there's interlinking, image optimization, all of that. So the entire checklist, you can just go to moz.com, you can see everything. But we need to step a step further because we are catering for humans. We are catering for consumer. They are real people with real consumer behavior. So for humans, right, usually if they go and type something in the Google search, they already have an intent. So some of the intent, they may not lead to a sale. Some, they want to know more. Some, they require some social proofing. Why? Consumers have herd mentality. So it's always broken down into 3 major parts, which is informational, investigational, and transactional. So people who just want information. So where is coffee beans where coffee beans originated from? But does that show that they want to buy your coffee bean? If you're a coffee company, right? Does that mean that they want to buy a coffee from you? Answer is no. They just want to know. Maybe they're just students or consultants trying to find where coffee is located, or all that. Coffee beans are located, right? So in the terms of funnel, it's actually very simple in a way to understand. There's actually first and foremost attention. So how do we create attention so that they will listen to us? So if you don't create attention in the market space, nobody is going to notice you. So get the attention first. So how can we get the attention? So once we get attention, they're looking at your direction. The question is, how do you make them aware of a problem that they may not realize that they have? The only way for consumers to listen to you is for them to be aware of something that they are not. So if you're trying to sell, let's say, a vitamin, you need to show to them that and let them be aware that they are lacking in vitamins due to what, so that they can relate and have a reason to actually listen to you. So once they are aware of their problem, then they start to want to discover solutions. So who are the solution providers? Where can I go to? Who are selling this? So that's what discovery of solutions, which may or may not include your solution itself. Then we move on into the consideration phase, which is now I've discovered all these other possible solutions. So how should I be considering who to choose and what to choose? We need to understand this. They are consumers. So how do we make someone choose us? So on the websites itself, especially service pages, it means they are someone who already know that they have a problem. If they are typing, I need SEO or SEO services in Singapore, let's say, it means they are someone who's aware that they need SEO, but they are trying to discover, so whom are the ones that actually can provide me this solution? They window shop, when they read, they are considering. So how should I choose someone? So maybe in terms of process, in terms of your USP, in terms of your deliverables, your case study, your social proofing, your testimonials itself. So if you're wondering why service pages they always contain these kind of elements, because they are in the consideration phase. So this you need to optimize to understand where are they at in terms of their framework, in their mindset. And this goes for across the board for any form of marketing. Because they never skip stages of awareness. It's how fast they get to. So imagine if you were to go out now and say you need this pregnancy kit. The answer is why? Yeah. So the thing is, if they're not aware that they have a problem, they won't be listening to you because they can't relate. So this has been posited in terms of content on your website. So the optimization of the content after you've done the on-page and all of that requires to go hand in hand. There will be an overlap because we are making, like I said, we are actually catering to humans, real humans who want to make decisions. So how do they want to make a decision? How can you aid them in making that decision? How can you position yourself to be the forerunner in terms of your decision making? Is actually understand this funnel, and the content that you write must be correlated to this. Okay, so yeah, so there's things called natural language processing. So there's a tie-in with something called the knowledge graph. So basically, when you type about a topic, like I said, Google have millions of results. So when you type about something, there's millions of results. So Google understands that when you talk about something, there's actually subtopics towards it. So they combine this algorithm to show you the knowledge graph, so they can understand in terms of page depth that you need to actually go to or write about. They can understand itself. So if you're wondering why certain pages, when you write a lot, it doesn't matter, because they need to know that what you're writing is something coherent to whatever they have done in terms of their processing itself. So it's not guessing, it's really they take millions and millions of results for that particular, let's say, topic or keyword itself, and they run through their system to make sure that this is the breakdown, this is the different subtopics that they are at, right? Yeah. So these are just a normal checklist, like I said. So your URL, H1 title, density itself, internal, external, alt tag, markup, speed, yeah, and basically, like what I said, just the content itself, right? So this is our own version of our on-page analysis itself. So we go individual pages and actually scrape the entire results to actually do a manual work to check whether it's actually optimized, and to optimize in a way that is actually what Google wants. Yeah. So there's no actually shortcut to this. It's all manual work. From the title to the meta to all the links, we need to check, right? So the last one is something called the growth run itself. So growth, how do you grow the organic traffic? So a lot of people are mistaken that growing a website is just ranking your service pages, that's it, which is not. So basically, if you're wondering what's the disparity between you and the page one itself, we do something called the gap analysis itself. Then we come up with topics to link, to bridge between you and the gap. Then we write down, we do content, and that's the content marketing part. And the link building also is inside that space itself. So SEO isn't just about ranking pages, it's also about having a strategy on creating assets on the internet so that you cater for those who want informative questions. So the information, those who are trying to consider and discover, and those who are trying to make a purchase. Even for e-commerce, be it service pages or businesses, right? It's the same. Which stages are there? Which stages of the awareness are they at? So how are they finding us? How are they going to decide to actually buy with us? So we need to understand that. Okay. So off-page, this one is also considered under the off-page cluster. So basically the link building content marketing falls under the off-page of SEO, right? And this is important because if you don't have this, one, you're not going to rank, two, you're not going to be seen as authority. So like I said, off-page is very simple. There's two key elements that you need to actually focus on: link building and content strategy itself. Link building. So what kind of link should be getting in your space to tell Google that I'm an authority, to show to people that we are an authority? Then content strategy. What are the things that customer want to know in terms of, let's say, a singular topic, maybe bone broth. So what is the benefit of bone broth? So what is the recipe of bone broth? So we call it hub and spoke posts in terms of the structure itself. So what are the content that we can write for consumers that channel them to our website? So it's not just as simple as ranking. So the blogs and the articles itself need to have a strategy that comes with it, right? So for links itself, for white hat links, there's certain things called guest posts, editorial, and sponsored links. So guest posts are generally no follow links because it's like a PR link. So it's the following of their website. Another website that you go to, maybe they have 1,000 followers. They always read their blogs. So you have a post on their website that people can read about, right? Editorial links are usually links that have been edited into old posts. So they are generally stronger than guest posts because those are actually has been ranked, has been proven to exist for a longer time. And sponsored link is actually the one that you pay, simply. So these are the three key links that usually we do for link building, especially for white hat. It's actually manual, right? And this is important because when you get a do follow link, something called a do follow, the power gets passed from their website to your website. So if you're wondering how to rank it, the checklist is the first. Then in terms of, let's say, the power of the website itself, we call it link equity or link juice. It gets passed over. So if you are pointed with a lot of high authority websites, naturally you'll rank higher. So if you just have a website, you're just linked with one, you're not as so-called as powerful or as authoritative as someone who has been linked to many pages, right? Yeah. So for our process of link building is very simple. The link count is important. So the question is, how many links should I be doing? So we need to benchmark off your competitors also. We call that referring domains, like I said just now. So we need to know how many links should we do? How many links should we get? How many links should we do every single month? Then we plan and we have something called link vetting. Now in the space itself, there's a lot of, we call it the private blog networks or PBNs, the black hat methods. So that if you're wondering why certain people are charging at a very low amount, it's actually to ask them, so what kind of link building strategy are you building for me? Because there is a very distinct difference. Black hat methods, if used wrongly or if you manipulate it wrongly, you'll get penalized by Google. And the worst thing that will happen to you is they de-index your website, meaning your website disappears from Google. They see your website as spammy. So you're linked to a lot of those casino websites, gambling sites, some medicine sites, which is wrong. Yeah. So all this we need to vet to make sure that they are not a website that is just paying money. One is black hat, another is, imagine if you are someone in the space in, let's say, digital marketing, like me. Will you be talking about something which is for golf, something for, let's say, medicine? We are not. We are only going to cover space which relates to digital marketing. So if you see a website that, if you go to their blogs or their resource page, and you're talking about everything under the sun, meaning they are link farm. So if they are link farm, meaning generally they are going to be very spammy, and if you use that, there's a possibility of you being connected to them. If anything happens to them, you get penalized too. Okay, so we need to undergo a process called link vetting. Then we strategize. After that, we'll acquire the links. I'll show you an example. So this is the one. So you see the RD. RD is referring domain. So suggested, we run a scan. Like I said, it's all data driven. We run a scan of all your competitors itself. So roughly, how many links should you buy in total? So in every month, what is the suggested velocity? Because we want to make it natural. We call it natural link building. The last thing you want is 1 month you buy 50, the next month you buy 100, the next month you just buy 5. Then Google say, why is that a spike, after that a drop? Google won't notice. And the thing is, you need to understand that if people like me or anyone can track the back end of the website, what makes you think Google cannot track you? They do. They are AI robot. So if we can notice that, oh, these are very bad links, spammy links, we can see. Google can see too, and they are faster than us, right? So in terms of link building, there's no hidden way. We don't overcomplicate things. We get high authority links, and we find out how many to get it. So link quality is over quantity. Quality will always win quantity, right? So like this, you can see in terms of the URLs itself, in terms of the top 3 results, how many are they getting? How many should we be doing? So this one also helps us to prioritize. So we go for low-hanging fruits. Where should we rank first? The last thing you want is someone, oh, you want to rank this, and the consultant just listens to you. And that's the wrong approach. We should be heading for small wins to increase the organic traffic slowly. So imagine actually you take 12 months to rank that one very competitive keyword. Then you're not, for the 11 months, you're not going to get anything. And that's not a good strategy. We go for small wins, build up authority slowly, let Google see us as someone who's authoritative. With the content marketing that we do, with the link building that we're getting for authoritative site, we gain a liking by Google, and slowly we go higher and higher and higher, right? Okay, so this is one of our process when we link prospects. So these are high authority links. So like you can see here, we look at the traffic, we look at the domain. DR is called domain rating. RD is referring domain. TF is we call it trust factor, and CF is citation flow, and DA is domain authority. So for us, we have this matrix to see. We go to this website. This is all manual. So we see the URL. We check how's their website like. Are they a link farm? Like I said, are they just someone who just people pay money to let them blog on their page? That kind of thing. We don't want those. See, this is just part of a checklist. We have actually the checklist is 3 pages long. So we check, is the domain authority 20 and higher? Is domain authority 15? So traffic metrics is 500. So cliffs just means that if you use a software called Ahref, you can see that it goes up, after that something happens, goes down. So that's what you call a cliff. Means something happened. Either they get penalized, or Google finds something, or there's an algorithm update by Google. Okay. So after that, we acquire the links and we negotiate. So like I said, it's a manual process. We communicate, then after that we track, then we negotiate the price, then we do the tracking for you. So this is high authority links. Not the kind of links where, oh, I just buy, that's it. For link vendors, they call it. We are not. Okay, there's a very different space in that. And in the long run, white hat will win black hat any day. So the last and not least is actually something called content marketing. So if you're wondering, how do I create new assets on the internet? Content marketing is the one. SEO is the primary foundation of content marketing. So we want to know why, and it's validated by search volume. The last thing you want is talk about something and nobody wants to listen. So we need to know. So what are the topics that people want to know? What do they want to get answered? What are the questions that they want? Once we find out what they want and what in the space that we are in, we develop a strategy before we even create the content itself, right? So we have something called keyword gap analysis. So we pick your 5 competitors itself, and we scrape all their keywords, and we show a difference between you and them. So the ones that you know, and all the competitors are in your space itself, your competitors who are already in page 1. So we create a disparity between you and them, and we can see it clearly. So these are the keywords that you are not ranking yet. So these are the topics that you haven't talked about yet. So I won't go into much detail because this is actually a very complex, especially content marketing. So we have certain things called pillar or cluster, or another way of saying is hub and spoke poses. So we group them together in terms of topics itself. So there's groupings. We call it the keyword grouping itself. And you can see below here, right? This shows the ranking of each of the competitors as compared to the client itself, right? Okay, next one. Then we come up with, once we find out, okay, this is the keyword gap analysis, this is the disparity you and the where you should be, what you should be writing about. Means the keywords that you haven't been covering. So we create a strategy that usually we start with 10. I'm just showing you 5. So this is a part of the thing. So our loan client. So the volume itself. So like I said, do you want to be talking about keyword or a topic which Nobody's going to listen. So you need to know that the keyword itself has volume, hence creating the topic. And the topic isn't as simple as a lot of people think. We just come up with it. This XX usually is a number. So home loan, how do we know in terms of how to optimize the title for this? It's something called when we have an audit called the workbook itself. So we take down notes on the SERPs. We have something called understanding the SERP intent. So like I said just now, right? If you ever do this on Google, just type in how to clear a pimple. If you type this in later, how to clear a pimple, you will see the results. If you notice the small things, is everything got to do with fast and overnight. So there is a difference. If you want to rank how to clear a pimple, and you're not talking about how to clear a pimple fast or overnight, you're not going to rank. So we need to understand what Google wants to rank. That's what we meant by understanding SERP intent, search engine result page intent. What does Google already rank? Is it already focused? Is it still not focused? Because over time, Google is evolving. They have a certain, they realize that a lot of people spend time on this kind of article. We have a different kind of tactic. We call it curated, comparison, guide, or spoke post. So these are just content tactics. Curated are just if you ever see on Google, right? Top 17 or top 10 best cafes, top 5 lamb chops, top 10 best therapy to go. So those are called curated. Comparison, Nike versus Puma. Those are comparison posts. Then guide, how to start a business in Singapore in 2021. Those are guides. So we need to understand what kind of tactic to use. It's not a guessing. We need to see what other people are already doing, especially the most in page 1. So how's the structure like? What's the content tactic that you use? What is the SERP intent to know what Google already wants to rank? So what kind of page are we doing? Is it a rewrite or is it a new page that we need to write? So this is all part of the process of understanding content strategy and content marketing itself. It's not as simple as, oh, this is topic, I write about this topic, that's it. So the question is, what should you be writing? Then the next thing, which a lot of people don't talk about, is the UX of it. How do you make something which is very, very long to make it digestible for clients? The last thing you want is a vomit of text. So in terms of UX, you need to understand how can you display and make sure that your consumer can digest it easily, from infographics to graphs to tables. You need to understand it matters because we want to appear better than everyone in the market so that they can come to our content and consume our content easier than the rest of them and make the decision with us. So if you understand a bit of consumer behavior, right, you don't want to create any friction inside their head. So if you create any friction, they will not lead to a conversion. So this one is touching a bit on CRO also. So it's SEO that's overlap with website design UX. SEO overlaps with Facebook, Instagram, social media marketing, with email marketing. How you should see it as digital marketing is an ecosystem with different parts that all talk together. They all works together. SEO is just one pillar segment, but how it interacts with every single element to make sure that the bottom line increases, that's where strategy comes. Okay, moving on. So we have, after we come up with we find out the gap for new pages to know the difference between you and your competitors. We do a page outline, meaning we pass this to a copywriter. We make sure this is what you write about. This is what you should be saying. This is how you should be optimizing it. So with the number of words, in terms of comment, in terms of the H2s, the header text, the subtopics, how to elaborate. You see the points here? So how to elaborate them. This is how a real blog post article with what kind of strategy. Is it a spoke? Is it a, like I said, curated comparison? Is it a guide? What kind of strategy? So all this is connected into one. And usually we give the client around 10 of that. So that forms your content marketing strategy itself. We use software, I will show you software later. It's called ClearScope. It's an AI software. So we roughly know what are the keywords associated that needs to be inside. So what kind of word form should we use? So it's not just guessing that we need to write this and this is how we should write. No, we actually go off data. Every single point, if you realize, right, from the technical aspect to the off-page, every single element is validated with an audit that you see and some data points. So this is how SEO should always be done. So at the end of the day, if you come across a strategy where they have no form of validation or verification of why they are doing something, you should know that something is off. Because if I got access to Google Search Console, everybody does. It's just a matter of how you use it and how you interpret that data. Okay. Next one, actually, content marketing. Yeah, this is important because SEO and content marketing works together. So if you're wondering why, it's as simple as this. How frequent you refresh your website with new content is dictated by how frequent Google will send their bots to index and rank your website. So if they realize that every 2 weeks you're refreshing every content, so you must be doing something right, they like you. Then they realize that your content, they always viewership in your content, so they like you also. The signal is there. So that's why you become an authority figure as time passes by, to a point where it suddenly spikes. So if you ever see a graph, right, it will be mundane, very small growth to a spike later. So once Google likes you, you realize that for every other things, you are going to rank much faster. So nowadays we have long tail keywords. So once you rank for long tail keywords and if you are authoritative, even the hit keywords, the main short keywords will start ranking also. So at the end of the day, SEO is something which is logical itself. There's always at many points in time data for us to refer, data for us to dictate our next action. And always remember that SEO and content marketing, like I said, is important. It's not separated. In order for you to have more market space, SEO or internet is exactly like real estate. The more buildings that you have, the more authoritative you are. Every single thing that is related to that topic, you are the forerunner, you are the forefront. They see your article, they see your guide, they see your video. So content marketing isn't just about blogs and articles. We come up with strategy, say, sir, ma'am, we actually require this topic shows a video, so the content strategy should be a video. But regarding this topic, this is what people want to know. These are the subtopics what people want to know. So there's a lot of things that is going on inside SEO which interrelates with consumer behavior. Okay? Yeah. So our partners, if you're wondering, if you are venturing into SEO, these are some of the softwares that we use. Screaming Frog. So this is one that we use to scrape. SEMrush for us to see in terms of keywords, in terms of a lot of the back end of the links. Ahrefs is also the links. I like to use Ahrefs a lot. ClearScope is where we use for our content marketing itself. And we use Google Analytics and Google Search Console. We also use Google Data Studio to show results. So everything is through Google, and every point in time, there's always data. So the question to everyone is, do you want someone to do a campaign with data, or someone who is just quote unquote guessing their next action? So now you know what are the key points that you should be addressing or asking your next point, your next vendor or something, right? In order to know how they are doing something, why are they doing something. So everything must have a reason. Okay. And actually that's a wrap. So I hope everyone understands. So basically the topic itself, SEO is actually very big. Content marketing itself, I can talk for 2-3 hours itself. Yeah, in terms of the exact breakdown of it. But today is just to highlight the key points in terms of the process. When you hire a SEO agency, the process itself, what are the key things? So realize it's always data. So this is what we meant by no guesswork. Yeah, so let's open up the Q&A. So Christine, please help me liars. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Is this, you're not seeing the slides anymore, right? You can see me still, right? No slide. Okay. For the slides, I can liaise with the management team in order to just send you guys. I have no problem with it. Yeah. So Christine, are you there? So, Christine, are you still there? Okay, if not, I just see it from here. So, if you have any competitor, okay, I start from the bottom. So, Joe Tang asks, if you and your competitor rank quite high in SEO and they do as much as us, what can then we do to ensure we still rank high and competitive? Expand your channels. I've been saying to people, in terms of content, you need to understand how consumers consume content. Website, Google articles, YouTube videos. So if you're business to business especially, how are your consumer finding you? Let's say first and foremost is Google, right? So there's other elements such as LinkedIn, YouTube marketing itself. So how are consumers going to engage you? How can we do more than our competitors, especially if you're right? Now everybody, let's say everybody ranks high in SEO. So what can we do to gain an advantage? Is to actually do things which they are not doing. Okay? Yeah. So expand your channels, especially. Expand your channels. There's a lot of mediums, social medium that you haven't touched. There are a lot of people are scared because they realize that the amount of work they have to do is actually a lot. So that they actually don't. So do things which people are not doing. Just be sure that at this point in time, right, there is a very high emphasis on user experience. You need to understand your user journey. From the moment they get to know you and the moment that they want to buy. A lot of people think about the selling process, they don't think about the buying process. It's just as important. What they see, what they connect, what they read, how they're going to make the decision, what are they thinking inside their mind. You need to start anticipating. So your work itself is geared towards data. So use user experience to figure out which point is the drop-off. So you realize that if they have been doing SEO, have you explored YouTube marketing? Have you explored LinkedIn? Have you explored other form of mediums that they are not doing that you can do? Have you ever perhaps discussed PR? So you need to understand SEO. If there's no intent, there is no search. If they don't know about you, they're not going to type on the internet. It's as simple as that. So that's why we say if it's a very new brand, especially if you are trying to get ahead in something that is new, hire a PR agency first. Get the buzz going before leveraging SEO. SEO is just one form of strategy which links into your funnel with your email automation system, with your Facebook marketing, and all of that. It's all one ecosystem. So let's see, any other questions? Okay, for Clarence, our alliance with Christine and the SYEA team, right? To see how to send you guys the deck. Okay, some people, for Eddie Lim, some people say they don't have website but only use Facebook ad and do SEO to drive traffic to the Facebook page. How is that possible itself? So for Facebook, right, it's by pages, like not website per se. But to be honest, right, if they say that's working, means they haven't leveraged on websites yet. Website is it's not in thing. Everybody needs a website nowadays. Because why? Because websites are like your real estate. If you're retail, you have your own store. Website is your online store, your own online retail store. So people are going to Google you before they actually take action on you. I'll be very honest. If you are doing something which is high ticket, something which people will think twice before buying, they will find every possible reason to make sure that the investment is proper. They want to find any form of reviews that is saying no. So if they search you, this one is related to online reputation management. So if they Google your company, brand name, bad reviews, brand name reviews, my question to you is what appears? Do you know what is appearing for your companies? We need to know. So the question is, use Facebook and do SEO to drive. So you need to understand it's interchangeable. So if you want to drive social signals to that, let's say your article on your page, you can use Facebook. You do ads that target the people in that target demo are interested, then they will just link to your article itself. And they will help in ranking. Because social signal, people are interacting into your page, people are reading, people are spending time. And Google likes time. So that's one of the main important things in their factors of ranking. How they distinguish between rank 1 and rank 2 or rank 3 is the minor social signals. There's always a huge disparity. So let's say, if doing SEO correctly, typically how long will it be ranked on top 5 of page 1? So, okay. So just to highlight to everyone, right, SEO is not just about ranking in page 1. And not just about keywords. If I can rank on page 1 and the keywords have no traffic, there's no point, right? So typically it depends on, first and foremost, how competitive that market is. If you're in a market space where it's super saturated, where everyone is doing SEO on a monthly recurring basis, everyone is pumping out content, everyone is doing link building, then you realize that I'm not ranking. You realize inside if you have a report, you use SEMrush or rank tracker, right? You realize that your page keep going in and out. For just a general knowledge for everyone, the reason why SEO always takes 6 months, right, is because Google takes 6 months to figure out your initial ranking. So they will look at the factors, they will look at every single thing. That's why some months you will suddenly appear on page 1, some months you appear on page 10, after that you appear on page 5. Because they are trying to figure out where to place you. That's called the initial rank. So how much is the base investment to start SEO strategy? How much costs an SME in Singapore itself? So SMEs in Singapore, right, generally market rate for a link building, for just a normal campaign, not including your content marketing, it will generally cost you 900, 1,000 starting. That's the benchmark usually. But if you were to invest with content marketing, like I said, right, you will go to a minimum national level keywords. Singapore, there's no local because Singapore is too small. You are just one city. But for Malaysia, they have like Johor, Kelantan, Terengganu, everything. So they have local SEO. Singapore is national. So everybody in Singapore in that space that do SEO need to rank for the same keyword. So it gets more competitive. Hence, if you are saturated, you need at least the middle tier, and it's also all time. So in terms of authoritativeness, it can despair from anywhere from as low as 1,005 you can start with, if you are okay with waiting 1.5 years, 2 years, 2.5 years, right? To investing in high authority links, which will cost you anywhere from 200 to 300 plus for one link that require around 8 to 10 at any one go. So the quality of that link itself you get is important. It's not just any links that you can get. No, these are links that you pay. There's no such thing as free links nowadays. So you can expect for SME in Singapore, in a low competition, you can get by with 1,000, 1,500 a month. Okay? For middle tier, not so competitive, but there is competition, you can scrape by with 2,500 to 3,500 around that page, around that you call that bracket. If you are really high competitive, where every month people are always doing SEO, pumping out content, you need to look at 3,500 and above. That's not inclusive of your content marketing. But just know, everyone, that SEO is just one element. SEO will get you traffic if the experience on that page is bad. They don't know what you're writing. They don't have the messaging. They don't know what to click, how to click. It matters not how many people come into the traffic. So will images, documents attached to your website affect SEO? Answer is page speed, yes. If there's a lot of images, right, it will cause the page speed to go down. If page speed go down, your ranking will go down as well. Because in terms of experience means loading time increases, the way people interact with your website, the experience goes down because people don't like slow things nowadays. So it's not a matter of images or documents, it's even videos. As long as you can load fast, it doesn't matter. So go to the page developer insights, right, on Google to check your page speed for both mobile and desktop. So nowadays your website not mobile friendly, you will rank very low very low. Is it advisable to rent website links that gurus are selling to get traffic in short term? Okay, this one is a very good question. So advisable to rent website links that some gurus are selling. I don't think links you can rank. Website you can rank, but links you can never rank. You can never rent a link because a link is either a do follow link or no follow link. Do follow, they pass equity. No follow is they give you the link, but they never pass you the power. So there's no such thing as actually website link to rent actually, because if they don't give you for prolong, right, means the moment the link is disavowed or removed, you no longer get the link equity anymore at all. So how do you guys work if there's a similar project at one go? There can only be one rank higher than the other. Yes, you are right. So especially in Singapore where it's a smaller space, we acknowledge inside the contract whether we don't say that we only work for one client for one authority, one space itself, because Singapore is too small. So in that space, we always say to the client that there is another person inside the contract that we will state that there's a foreclosure, basically. So that we state to them that in the event that anyone in your space or similar space comes to us, we will actually ask you, we will actually give you we give you the what you call it, the heads up that there's another one coming. We want to stop. There is countries around the world that actually, for some agencies, right, they only take one. But if the budget is too small, you are not doing let's say five figures, let's say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, $10,000 campaign with content marketing, everything, right? It's difficult for agencies to actually just pick one client. It's not worth it. because it's not just SEO that matters. Your website design, your UX design matters at the same time. It's a more holistic approach rather than just SEO, SEO, SEO. No, it's not. How people perceive you, from your branding to the color psychology to the emotions that you feel, it matters. So how people interact, like I said, user experience, everybody should look into user experience now. It's tweaking the minor things and getting inside the head of your consumers. Okay, so ultimately it boils down to UX. If you're right, so if user experience is not positive, the EQ will, you're right, the lead conversion will go down. You're right. So you just remember that SEO is getting traffic. Conversion happens on the page. So if the conversion is not there, it means something along the page, the messaging, the interaction, the journey there's a drop-off point. So that's why I say, if the design is not there, your journey is not there, regardless I give you 10,000 traffic every month, it will not convert. So that's where CRO comes in with UX, customer conversion rate optimization. How many years did it take you to go to where you are in terms of knowledge? It's just a curious question. It takes me 4 to 5 years. So I started off with my own stuff. Then after that, I start to learn with other people. I start to get mentors. I start playing with my own site. Then I start to do more and more, because e-commerce and service done very differently. It's similar but very different. E-commerce is a very different market. Can we get much money, much SEO website ranking if it's only one landing page? Answer is no. So for one page, you need to understand keyword, one page, one keyword. The rest is called supporting keywords. You cannot say you are doing lower back pain and you're doing carpal tunnel syndrome. You cannot rank the thing on the same page. Google cannot read. Google reads by the page. If you realize, I said there's not H1, H2, right? The header text. That's how they differentiate the text which is important to your body content. The same important words need to be a header. The supporting are just body. So what are some client style industry that you enjoy doing SEO for? B2B, because they are more straightforward. Like the recent one, I talked to this semiconductor one. So apparently their market is nobody is doing searches on Google. They are going to start. So I like B2B because they're more straightforward. B2C is it's fine to do, but it depends on the service or the product itself. E-commerce need SEO, but it takes longer because there's a lot more product pages, there's a lot more category pages. So those individual pages need to get optimized. So I enjoy more B2B than B2C. You can pair up SEO with SEO with SEM and Facebook. So there's always a combination of tactics. It's not just a it's not linear anymore. So you need to think about the buying process, selling process at the same time. Okay?